Impact of culture and diversity on global businesses. November 8th, 2016 was a profound day for me here in the United States. As I anxiously await the election's results, it was evident to me at midnight that the next incoming president would be Mr. Donald Trump. Over the years, I respected Mr. Trump as a business mogul. I read his books. I wanted to get an insight in the real estate business, the real estate game that made him who he is. Maybe controversial to some, but I saw him as a great businessman. As you know, he is now the elected president of the United States of America. America was built on diversity, different cultures, race, ethnicity, and religion. Based on his campaigning techniques, I felt this butterfly feeling in my stomach. That feeling is still there. Instead of building a wall, would he be able to make America great by bridging our unique differences that make this country United States of America? We must remember that culture is learned beliefs, values, rules, norms, symbols, and traditions that are common to a group of people, shared qualities of the groups that make them unique. It is the way of life, customs, and scripts of a group of people. Some of the things that I wrote about in my book. Diversity is the existence of different cultures and ethnicity within a group, an organization. Now, I'm not here to talk about politics. However, I believe we can agree that international government relations impact business growth or lack thereof. International business deals not only cross borders, but they also cross cultures. Culture greatly influences how people think, how you communicate, and conduct business. It also affects the kind of deals made. Being a cultural diversity trainer, day to day, I see how people do not take advantage of working across different cultures. I've learned that there are untapped potentials in the globe for doing business, but many people fail to understand cultural values and thus they get stuck. Today, I'll focus on two areas that impact culture and diversity in global businesses, and you should know there are more than just two. Culture and diversity impact many aspects of global businesses through the two that I'm going to talk about, communication and negotiation. What is communication as it relates to culture and business? Understanding cultural differences and overcoming language barriers are some of the consideration people should have when dealing with business and with people from various cultural globally. Often business deals are lost because the parties involved do not take the time to learn about each other. One of the things that people don't take advantage of is technology. Basically, you can overcome language barrier with technology. Simply Google. We all Google, right? I do. We have different apps. And also recently, I'm sitting back watching the television and I notice that there's a new device. You simply put it in your ear and it's able to translate upon command. Whatever you said, I'm able to translate, hear it, and reply back. So why is it individuals in the business world don't take advantage of these opportunities? Technology enables people to easily connect with people around the world in a moment's notice. But there are a few rules to remember, and I'm sure you know these rules, but I'm going to say it here. Time zone. How many of you get calls any time per day? it doesn't matter. But that's fine because some of the times it's coming from your family. That's okay. But how about you sitting by the phone waiting for that transaction and you're not considering, well, that person might be sleeping. It might be a day off. Or try in the Middle East, the weekends are different. The weekends, Friday, Saturday. And only, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years ago in Saudi Arabia, it was Thursday, Friday. But we're so anxious and impatient, we want things right away in America, or the Western world, as they'll call us. We want things happening so quickly, we don't respect the time zones. Religious observance and holiday observance. Over the recent holiday, Christmas, to New Year's, Christmas is observed technically on the Monday. But in other places of the world, you have the 27th, Boxing Day. Now imagine if you're a business individual. And then there's some people that are still on holiday. It was extended until next week. For us in the Western part of the world, or specifically America, our thoughts are, okay, it's a new year, we got to make new deals, new business, and things have to happen right away. Another thing that we should consider, body language, and specifically technology. We assume that it's okay, it's technology, people cannot read or people do not focus on your language at times, and they do. As it relates to communication, 7% of the meaning comes from the words spoken, what you say. 38 is from the tone of your voice to the loudness of your voice. And there's some cultures, they just naturally speak loud. And there are others where everything is yes. Or in others, they are yes. Okay? 58 is from your facial expression. I had a meeting via Skype with a potential client to speak about a course that he wanted for his executives. The course he wanted to do was on corporate governance, leadership, and diversity. However, when I started to go over the different aspects of diversity, the facial expression changed when I mentioned homosexuality and transgender. Now, I do understand different cultures and their beliefs, but at the same time, I had to bring forth the different topics because I'm not sure exactly of what he would like to include. After reading his expression, I stopped and I said, okay, is there something wrong? And he said, well, you could leave that part out. I said, okay. He says, yeah, we're not going to deal with that set of people, and in our culture, it's forbidden. I am not there to force any beliefs, but at the same time, if he's doing business in another country and you have executives sent into another country outside, these are individuals or people that you will conduct business with. Also, when on social media, be vigilant to what you post and how these might impact your business and recently politics. But be careful on what you're posting. I have looked at different business individual pages, and they're in a field that has nothing to do with swimwear or sports, but all of their pictures are pretty revealing and out there. Or they make comments negatively towards another race, another group of people. But in the essence, you still want to do business with these individuals. Don't you think that they will search and look at your page and see what's going on? These are some of the things that we need to think about. Mention communication. Now we're on to negotiation. Every culture has a different way of viewing the world and therefore a different way of negotiating. When it comes to negotiation, you need to take these factors into consideration. One, politics. Why? In some cultures, you will not get through any negotiation without the political leaders, without dealing with corruption, and sometimes paying off political leaders. Let's just put it out there the way it is. Legalities. Just before I came to speak today, I just was curious to see, are there any countries that still don't have a certain franchise there? And one that I came across today is, unless something happened within the few minutes that I'm here, Afghanistan. Yeah? No McDonald's. And I said to myself, I wonder why. It was only recently that Nigeria, well, over the few years that Nigeria had like KFC and McDonald's, and the reason being, because I'm curious and I love to research and know what's going on around the world. They don't have legal policies in place to protect them if they step into a country. You as a business owner, or if you're working for a corporation that do things globally, these are things that you need to think about. Do your research. Why your competitors are not in that market? There must be a reason. International economics. There are some countries that the rate or your currency fluctuates. Are you able to do business in a country that today the dollar may be 1 US or £1 or €1 to 100, and then tomorrow it's 200 or 300? Are you able to survive as a business owner? Or, again, someone that deals with business for a corporation. Foreign governments and their bureaucracy. Recently, I got a contact from a company or university that wanted to set up outside of the country. They're in Europe. And they said they would like to partner with me to set up in Kenya. I said, okay, great. This sounds lucrative, and let me look into it. Well, upon my research, what came back to me is you have a lot of red tapes. This is just not going to happen unless you have millions. Now, understand the school is already established, already accredited. Everything is running. So why all these red tapes? Well, basically, number one, they want you to set up from scratch or partner with one of their existing schools. So what happened? In essence, you're spending so much money, it doesn't make sense. And then you look around in Kenya and you'll find, like, for example, Dubai has a lot of schools there, yes? You have NYU that's set up. And so why not Kenya? Again, as doing business, look at your competition, what's going on or what's not happening. Ideology. You and I know that everybody don't think alike, and especially doing business outside the country, people have different beliefs and ideology. Now, here are some tips for you to be successful when it comes to communicating and negotiating in business. Number one, take the pulse of the area, the intellectual climate, by finding out what people are reading and watching. Simply turn on the TV. Some embassies' websites are very informative. Before I went to Saudi Arabia, I did not want to walk in blindfolded. I wanted to know as a female what will happen. So I went to YouTube. I watched videos. I went to the website, and not just the government website, but they have another website which is cultural missions. They gave me so much information. By the time I went, I thought I was over prepared. I had my abaya in my suitcase, okay, my wrap. I was ready, except that my luggage came late and I stood in the airport nervous. Although I had on a long skirt, but there was a gentleman there just staring at my ankles. And I became nervous. But I got my bag and I put on my job and I was good to go. This was not the case for other colleagues that I've worked with. You need to study the established business norms of the area. Understand business, politics, and cultural environment. Learn the perspectives, the taste, and technology. In some countries, technology is not the way it is here. My PA is in Kenya. When I went to Kenya to set up the business, I saw this young lady. She knew what she was doing, and I kept her. Except I am constantly frustrated because the lights go out. So she'll send me a message via WhatsApp, no lights, I'm so sorry, I'll make up. Now it's hard enough to have an assistant virtually. The next is the infrastructure of the country and the lights. Pretty much they're out for a certain time every day. If you plan to live in the country, or in another country you're doing business in, learn to adapt. It's not about your way only. Learn to adapt. Try to learn their language. Now, saying that I tried to learn Arabic, it did not work, but you may be more successful in other areas. Learn to relate to people from other cultures from a position of equality than superiority. Do not walk into someone's country believing that you are better than them. Even if that's the way you feel, keep it in the back of your mind. Before meeting, pick up the phone or send an email, get an agenda so you know what you're walking into, especially when it comes to negotiation. Don't jump to assumptions and conclusions in the negotiation process. Some people negotiate different from others. What do I mean? You may be in a negotiation table. The other person is just staring at you, no words. Or you may be negotiating. Every time the person cuts you off. And in some countries, they basically do not trust another culture. So with that, the negotiation process is even worse than you may anticipate. If you sense confusion, ask for clarity. It doesn't hurt. Just ask for clarity. Think about how you would feel being in a country trying to negotiate in another language. So in other words, what it's like to wear the other person's shoes. If you're working across cultures and gender, make sure you're fully aware of any sensitivity. Some Muslims and Jews actually don't shake hands with the opposite sex. I remember being in a supermarket in Saudi, and a colleague of mine, I'd like to go shopping with her, because she's full of life. But on that day, I was scared. She's Canadian and she's very friendly. And there was a couple in front of us, and we were speaking, and the gentleman turned around. He's Saudi, well dressed in his normal garment, and he says hi, and she's like, hello, and he's like, you're American? She's like, no, I'm Canadian. How are you? And I started sweating. However, he reached out, and his wife was there, and she went, and he says, don't worry, I have my doctorate, and I graduated from a university in Canada. So yes, he's familiar with the culture, but with someone else, it might not have gone so nicely or smoothly. I want to leave you with a quote, and it's from attorney David Boyce. Embrace a diversity of ideas. Embrace the fact that you can disagree with people and not be disagreeable. Embrace the fact that you can find common grounds. If you disagree on the 9th out of 10 things, but you can find common grounds on the 10th, maybe you can make progress. If you can find common ground, you can accomplish great things. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you can go back with great ideas. Have fun.
Thank you very much, Neva, Helen. This was very, very educational, what you said. We rarely get the opportunity to listen to such things. We have learnt a lot. There must be some questions. So let us have the questions. So from the lady there.
Hi, my name is Sophie. I'm a student from the ICD doing the master's program. You talked about the hindrances that you often find in communication with different cultures, especially in business. But what do you see in the future? And do you see, like, how do people implement these reforms of creating an environment where communication is obviously more suitable to all cultures? So how is this implemented? Is it only through training, or is it through recruitment, or like how do you see this working in the future?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Yes? Okay. Well, to answer your question, yes, definitely training. As getting your staff, your executives, yourself trained, 1. 2, advisors, which is the same as getting a consultant. Make connections, network. When I went to Kenya, quickly I realized I had to get into the political circle. And that was very helpful. In other places, it's not like that. But with that, they were able to tell me or show me the ways to move forward. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So you
Hello. Yeah. I don't think, is it working? Yeah, okay. Sorry. My name is Daniel. I'm a student at the ICD as well, and I'm from Norway. And I was just wondering, which areas do you find is the hardest, like the largest difference in how they do their business compared to us in the Western world? Like, which areas do you find the norms are where you have to be most wary of these? You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which area? Go ahead. Okay, as far as the area is concerned, I'm not sure any area outweighs the other. Now, if you have a product, you will have difficulties. Even I guess I would say maybe products if you're bringing things into the country, because you have to worry about things not being stolen. You have to worry about it's the difference with your, as far as your money is concerned, who's going to handle your finance if you're not on ground and having people to trust. So, I mean, looking at that way, but pretty much it goes across the border. But a lot of times it has to do with money. I mean, you are in business to make money. And who's going to touch or protect your money or not steal your money?
Hi, my name is Micah. I'm also an ICD student. I'm from Germany. Do you believe that there's gonna be in 30 years from now maybe a universal standard on how to do business regarding communication and negotiation despite cultural differences?
I wish. And we will hope that that's the case 30 years from now. And yeah, we will hope, but it's not guaranteed. And
But is that a goal to achieve a universal standard, or do you want to keep this cultural differences and this diversity to maybe because it fosters efficiency?
I assume the goal is, and I say assume because there's no direct answer to the question, as far as I'm concerned. You know, the goal is to have a universal system. You know, you have technology, you have access to many things to learn from each other, but then there are certain countries that are going to just be set in their ways no matter what. And you can't force that country to change the way they do business. So 30 years from now, maybe 100, but 30 years from now, tight.
With you. Like you said that when you were in Saudi Arabia, you had different kind of experiences. Once I had an experience, like it's as you said, that adapting to different cultures. So I was leading a delegation, and there are some schools and colleges, undergraduate colleges in the Middle East, in Riyadh, Jeddah, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar. So I was visiting all these schools at the head of the board. So I was leading the delegation, and I had 5 men with me. So you cannot land in Riyadh without a burqa, you know, that covered thing from your head to toe. So I had got one of those, and I was wearing that. But all my companions, they could pass through the immigration, but they wouldn't allow me to pass. So how come a woman is leading a delegation when there are 5 men with them? And how come a woman is leading a delegation? What is the problem? So, and they made me, and so I couldn't lose my temper or say anything to them because that's their system. So I was waiting for them, and my companions, they were on the other side because they were free to go, but they were waiting for me on the other side, and I was on this side. And then the people from the Bangladesh embassy had to come. They had to come, they had to guarantee, they had to sign that it's okay, and she's like the head of the delegation, so she can enter the thing, and they had to sign a bond, and only then I could cross the immigration. But the thing is that in a situation like that, you just can't do anything, just sit there and wait, whether it's half an hour or it's 3 hours.
And smile.
Because that is their system, and you have to have respect for the system, that's all.
Yes.
Mentioned. This culture and religious two different things. Religious is not culture, like you said. I believe that because there is Islamic way. There is it's true because you are not allowed to touch men. That is their belief. Is because they believe in the God. So God and prophet and the present world culture, there's different. So we have to understand we have to mutually respect the religious people who actually they believe they are religious. So because whether Muslim, Christian, Hindu or Buddhist, it doesn't matter. But it's a faith group. I'm one of the faith group this way, which is I think because I'm a Muslim, so sometimes, but we shake hands sometimes. But that is the religion never allow because I do shake hand, and but even my son or my daughter, they wear a burqa, but my younger son, he's not religious, but we can have.
No, I just clarify.
clarify something. It is the important your topic because I was master from Makkah University. I'm the Arabic. I was. It is the we must respect each other heritage and religious and culture. It is the important thing for us. Because Saudi, not only for Saudi Arabia, it is the Muslim people. According to Quran and Sunnah, you say is something is shake hand for women. It is Quran, Sunnah is didn't like is allowed. This the woman you shake the hand. This man between men and women. We must respect each other for the heritage, culture, and Islamic way. That's why I want to clarify something because it is not for only Saudi Arabia. It is Muslim Ummah in all kind Muslim. Because if you believe you are a Muslim, you must be follow the recording Quran Sunnah. It is the important thing for Muslim people, and Muslim people must be respect all heritage and all culture, other religions. It is the teach us this Islamic way. Only if I say it is from the Saudi Arab, it's like this. It is not for Saudi, for hijab or niqab like this. You say you wearing.
I do want to say that there was a time that there was a debate: is it culture or is it religious? And pretty much, in this debate was in Saudi. And they, according to them, and again, yes, I agree with you, it's the same, even though I try to say it's different. If you look at other parts of the Muslim societies, Muslim country, and how they do things, separate, but they insist, the majority, not everyone, insists that it was the same. So.
We're actually starting to run out of time, so maybe just to give you a chance to, if you want to add a concluding comment, let me interject briefly, because I hear what you're saying right now, and it's an important point in terms of religion, culture. Is it the same? Is it not the same? For me, I agree with everyone, the Saudis as well as the people in this room. And what I mean by that is I always use this analogy of the onion for identities, and I always say we're all like onions. And from the outside, we all look more or less the same, but if you cut an onion in half, you see a very complicated layering effect. And I think that's what we have to realize. For some people, religion is culture. For others, it is not. And I think we have to realize the complexity, as you were saying, with a certain respect for each of our individual identities. Maybe our passport means a lot to us. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe our religion means a lot to us. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the religion has only religious faith implications. Maybe it has cultural implications. I think we need to realize we have to zoom in and zoom out very differently, even within Saudi Arabia, where you have a big diversity there as well. So I've really observed many things. I think that's maybe one of the first tasks also of culture diplomacy in terms of recognizing who is it that we're dealing with. And maybe I can't tell from their passport who they are. Maybe I can't tell from their religion who they are. And I need to find other ways of really getting to know that individual to decipher if their religion is the culture the same, etc. So it's a complicated thing. Maybe just leave it at that. We can discuss it later in the week. But I think it's an important point to realize that we can't assume anything and we can't judge any books by their covers. And we need to realize just because we know A, B, C, and D about someone doesn't necessarily mean we know that person. And we need to realize in the cultural diplomacy spirit, in a very sensitive, humble way, to discover what is it really that makes that person tick. And I'm sure your experiences have been similar in that sense. But would you like to offer maybe a concluding comment or something before we bring things to a close? Or?
Well, I brought it to a close, but I just want everyone to be open-minded. When you travel, when you go places, just be open-minded. And because don't assume because they're not in your culture, religion, what ethnicity, they don't understand you or they don't have similar beliefs. Then be open-minded. That's all. Thank you.
Dr. Neva, thank you.